Imagine if you could walk into any room and immediately change the atmosphere, not by what you say, but by the quiet certainty of who you are. Not through tricks, lines, or games, but through something ancient, a way of being so rare that people can't help but notice. The Stoics, philosophers who lived thousands of years ago, weren't dating coaches. Yet, their ideas reveal something powerful about human attraction, why we are drawn to people who are calm when the world is chaotic, and self-contained when everyone else seeks validation. Today, we'll explore 5 Stoic principles that make you magnetic, not because you chase attention, but because you no longer need it. This isn't about manipulation, it's about mastery of emotion, of ego, of attention. When you develop that, attraction becomes a reflection of who you are, not a goal you chase. The first Stoic lesson in attraction is paradoxical. To create deep interest, you must stop seeking it. The Stoics called this apatheia, not apathy, but freedom from emotional disturbance. It means being unmoved by what lies outside your control, including another person's reactions. Most people confuse indifference with coldness. But Stoic indifference is different. It's serenity. It's the understanding that you don't control how someone feels about you, only how you show up. When a person acts from that space, they stop chasing approval. They radiate stability, and stability is deeply magnetic. Epictetus said, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." Replace things with people, and you have the essence of emotional independence. Years ago, a psychology student I knew tested this principle unconsciously. He stopped overanalyzing texts and responses from a woman he liked. Instead of waiting for replies, he started attending philosophy meets, running, and reconnecting with friends. Within 2 weeks, the dynamic reversed. She began initiating contact. Why? Because she sensed his attention was no longer tethered to her reactions. The human mind values what feels scarce. When validation becomes rare, not because it's withheld manipulatively, but because it's no longer needed, it becomes precious. Ask yourself, whose reactions still control my emotions? Every time you notice yourself seeking a specific response, remind yourself, you're chasing something you can't control. Return your focus to your own behavior, your own peace. That's real confidence, the kind built in silence, not performed for attention. The second Stoic principle that shapes attraction is the unwavering frame, the ability to remain grounded when everything around you wavers. Marcus Aurelius described it as the inner citadel, a fortress of reason and virtue no storm can breach. In modern language, this means emotional leadership. People, especially in relationships, unconsciously seek someone who doesn't mirror their anxiety. When you stay calm, you become an anchor. When you lose composure, you become another storm. Think of your frame as your worldview, your values, your sense of direction. The moment you compromise those for approval, you lose trust, both in yourself and in the eyes of others. A friend once told me about a heated argument he had with his partner. She accused him of being distant and unfeeling. Instead of defending himself or retaliating, he listened quietly, then said, "I understand you're hurt. I care about how you feel, even when I don't fully agree." She later admitted that was the moment she realized she could trust him, because he didn't crumble or fight back. His calm made her feel safe. Marcus Aurelius faced rebellions, plagues, and betrayal, yet his journals, written privately, read like meditations, not complaints. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you hold your frame, you're telling the world, my peace is not for sale." That's the paradox. Strength isn't loud. It's quiet composure. In the digital era, our frame collapses daily. One negative comment, one rejection, and we spiral. But Stoicism teaches that steadiness isn't ignorance of emotion. It's governance of emotion. You can feel anger without acting from it. You can acknowledge fear without bowing to it. And in relationships, that steadiness communicates something profoundly attractive: safety. In the digital era, our frame collapses daily. One negative comment, one rejection, and we spiral. But Stoicism teaches that steadiness isn't ignorance of emotion. It's governance of emotion. You can feel anger without acting from it. You can acknowledge fear without bowing to it. And in relationships, that steadiness communicates something profoundly attractive: safety. The third Stoic principle is outcome independence. It means giving your full attention to the present moment, while releasing control over what happens next. Seneca once wrote, "The wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. In relationships, this transforms how you connect. You stop playing emotional chess, calculating moves for a desired reaction, and start engaging for the sake of authentic experience. Outcome independence doesn't mean you stop caring. It means your sense of worth doesn't hinge on a yes, a text, or a label. When you detach from results, you remove the silent pressure that suffocates connection. People feel when they're being used as a means to an end, even subconsciously. The Stoic's calm curiosity feels different. You're here because you choose to be, not because you need to be. A filmmaker friend once told me that the best work he ever produced came after a project rejection. Instead of chasing clients, he began filming street stories purely for joy. Ironically, those videos went viral, and he received offers he never expected. He didn't chase, he created. The same principle applies to human connection. Obsession fades when you grasp, but deep attraction grows when you create presence. Our brains are wired for scarcity. When someone doesn't demand a specific outcome, we interpret it as abundance, confidence. It's why people are drawn to those who seem fulfilled regardless of circumstances. Before every interaction, pause and ask, if nothing comes from this, would I still enjoy the moment? If the answer is yes, you've stepped into outcome independence. Stoicism teaches that the only true good is virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Everything else, money, looks, popularity, is merely preferred. When you live from virtue, your attractiveness shifts from surface to substance. Character doesn't expire, it compounds. Modern culture celebrates performance. How witty, how stylish, how visible. But what truly captivates others isn't the highlight reel, it's reliability, the quiet predictability of integrity. Virtue creates safety because it creates consistency. You don't have to guess who a virtuous person will be under pressure. During a volunteer trip after a flood, I met a man who organized food deliveries daily, without posting once about it online. He wasn't rich, but everyone trusted him. Later, a woman in the team told me, I didn't fall for how he looked, I fell for how he kept his word. That's virtue in action, attraction rooted in respect. For Marcus Aurelius, virtue was not moral posturing but practical mastery. When he wrote Meditations, he was the most powerful man alive, yet he reminded himself nightly to stay humble, disciplined, and kind. When you commit to virtue, you replace performance with principle. You become predictable not in boredom, but in reliability, the rarest currency in human relationships. Choose one virtue today, honesty, courage, or discipline, and live it even when it costs you comfort. Over time, people notice the pattern. You're not performing goodness, you're becoming it. And in a world addicted to masks, authenticity becomes magnetic. The final Stoic principle might be the most transformative. Memento Mori. Remember that you must die. At first, it sounds grim, but the Stoics saw it as liberation. When you realize time is limited, pretense loses its appeal, and presence becomes natural. Nothing deepens love or attention like the awareness that every shared moment is temporary. We postpone authenticity, thinking there will be another chance, another call, another apology, another day. Memento Mori ends that illusion. When you treat each conversation as if it might be your last, you listen differently, you look longer, you stop playing games because the clock is ticking, and only truth is worth spending time on. A student of mine once lost his father unexpectedly. For months afterward, he began visiting friends just to say, I appreciate you. He said, I thought it would be awkward, but people opened up instantly. Presence, it turns out, is contagious. Marcus Aurelius reflected daily on mortality to sharpen gratitude. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This isn't morbid, it's clarifying. Before you scroll through messages or replay old worries, pause and whisper to yourself, this moment will never return. Suddenly, small irritations shrink, and meaning expands. Memento Mori doesn't make you fearful of death, it makes you faithful to life. Emotional indifference frees you from neediness. The unwavering frame grounds you in strength. Outcome independence liberates you from manipulation. Virtue builds a foundation of respect. Memento Mori gives you presence that feels almost sacred. Together, these aren't techniques, they're a philosophy of living. They form what the Stoics called eudaimonia, human flourishing. When you embody them, attraction becomes a byproduct of authenticity. You stop trying to be interesting and become interested in life itself. We live in a time when everyone is performing online, at work, even in love. Stoicism invites you to do something revolutionary. Be genuine, stop chasing attention, cultivate peace, presence and purpose, and watch how effortlessly the right people are drawn to it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. So dye your thoughts with calmness, courage, and compassion, and you'll color every interaction with quiet strength." If this reflection helped you see attraction differently, share it with someone who's searching for peace in their relationships. And remember, don't chase obsession. Become the kind of person who inspires it naturally.